Hey there, and welcome back to Tim Talks Cooking. Today, we are talking chicken soup. Look at this day. Look at the ice on these trees. It's time for soup. Let's get started. Now, we're serious about soup here at Tim Talks Cooking, and when I make soup, I like to make a nice big batch of it because leftovers are a great thing. They freeze well. I just freeze them in mason jars and pull them out and defrost them in the morning for dinner or for lunch even. Really, really good. They also defrost in the microwave really well. What you see before you here are the basic ingredients for any great chicken soup. Starts, of course, with chicken. Here I've got some chicken breast. This is 2 1/4 pounds. So this was 3 very large chicken breasts. Then I sliced up and diced into bite-sized chunks. Those are pretty generous bite-sized, by the way. I've also got here 2 large yellow onions that I've diced up, and I'll show you in a moment how to dice up onions and other vegetables that we're going to use here. I've also got 6 cloves of garlic that I've diced up, chopped them up pretty roughly there. 3 ribs of celery, diced up into a medium dice, probably about 1/4 to 1/2 inch dice, and some carrots. These are 3 big old carrots that I diced up into 1/2 inch dice, and these are all really nice sizes for us. They hold well on your spoon, right? I've got about 1.5 tablespoons, 2 tablespoons of Italian seasoning, a great big old bay leaf. That's an Indian bay leaf there. Of course, some seasonings. You've got kosher salt and freshly ground black pepper, and I've also got a gallon of my own vegetable and chicken stock here, and we're going to use that as the base for our soup. If you're new to cooking from scratch, you might need a lesson in knife skills. Let me show you how chefs cut an onion into a dice. This is going to make a pretty uniform dice. We're also going to end up with a really clean pieces of onion here. I'm going to slice it in half from the root to the tip. I'm going to slice off the tip, leave the root end intact, and we're going to peel back this first layer or so, whatever's tough, of the onion skin. Pull that right off. We're going to save those for stock. And brush off the rest of the stuff from there, all the debris that collects there. There we go. And here we've got a nice half of an onion. I'm going to, with a little more debris on it. That's all right. All right. Going to place my palm down on it to hold it down, to stabilize it. And I'm going to cut a few slices into it all the way down to the root, but not all the way through. Pretty as far as I can get without slicing it right off there. And we want to use a really nice sharp knife for this. Then we're also going to cut it again. I call this the Vegematic way. I'm going to slice it down this way. And try to keep the onion together as much as possible. You see there are a couple of pieces that are popping off there. Not a problem. We'll get to them later. Now, we're going to hold it together like this and use our knuckle as a guide. Slice down straight down, and you end up with really nice uniform dice. And actually, it's a pretty quick way to dice an onion. Anyway, there you have it. I'm going to finish with the rest of my onion, and we'll get back to it in a minute. Never quite sure how you're supposed to chop a clove of garlic. Let me show you how to do that. Here's a clove of garlic. And oh, here part of it's coming off already. That's kind of helping. All right, that doesn't always happen. We're going to get the peel off of it, and I'm going to show you how it's real easy. Put it on your cutting board, give it a whack. It expands the garlic, of course, and the papery peel just comes right off. We just slip that off of there. And then we chop it just like anything else. This one's kind of fat, so I'm going to cut it in half. Slice it one way, kind of like the onion actually. And then I'm going to cut it in the other direction to make a fine dice. And of course I'm going to pick up any of the pieces that come out that are bigger than I like. Again, as you know, I say this almost every time, but my recipes are pretty rustic. I don't really care whether the garlic is very, very finely minced or not. I think that's just fine. And there we go. Now on to the next one. To dice the celery, we're going to take the rib and split it down the middle. Then turn it over. Split it down the middle once again. Be careful that it stays in one piece. It'll just be easier to chop that way. I'm going to do the same thing with this other piece. And then you stack them together, and cut straight down to dice into whatever size you like. Me, I just happen to like this size. It's easy to eat on the spoon. In fact, you'll notice that all of the things for this recipe, I've cut them into a bite size. You could also choose any size you like. If you want bigger pieces of celery, make them bigger. If you want them smaller, make them smaller. This is your soup. As for the carrots, I'm going to show you how to dice this too, but let me also say that I never peel my carrots when I use them in anything where I'm not trying to use them for presentation or something like that. You can see there's a little dark color here and there. That's not dirt. These have been scrubbed. And the peel of the carrot is nutritious, and besides, why throw it away? To dice up a carrot, first we want to cut this into about fourths lengthwise. So first I'm going to cut it in half. We're going to make some nice little sort of planks of carrot here, carrot boards. You just got to be very careful not to cut yourself. There we go. Do the same thing over here. You're going to cut deliberately, but be smart about it. There you go. And now this is much easier to work with. Here what we're going to do, just like with the other vegetables, we're going to cut it lengthwise into strips. Probably about 3 strips here. Being very careful again. And then stack them up and chop right on through into a small dice. This will be a really easy, oops, I'm getting a little celery involved there. This will be really easy in the soup to fit on your spoon. Won't be difficult to eat. It's a perfect size. And it comes out in a nice, neat little even size. Fairly uniform. Again, not perfect, but fairly nice. I'm going to continue on with the rest of my carrots. I've got a big stock pot here, and I've just turned on the flame to medium high. I'm going to melt about 2 tablespoons of butter, along with a good 2 to 4 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. Use as much as you like here. We've got a lot of vegetables to coat with this stuff. I think that's going to be good right there. And a lot of onions to put in there. That's going to be our next step. As always, we want to make sure that the fat that we cook our onions in is really good and hot before we do that. Here it's been about 1.5 minutes, and you can see it's bubbling up because the water in the butter is reacting with the heat in the olive oil there. Just see if our oil is ready. We're going to drop a little onion in there and see what happens. Not much action really, so we're going to wait a minute and come back in just a second when it's a little bit hotter. All right, let's try again. Oh yeah, I think that'll do. Let's get our onions in there. Now here, notice onions, not garlic. There's that sizzle. Garlic is really delicate. It burns easily. If you overcook it, it loses its flavor. So we're going to just wait a little bit for that garlic. I would put it in at the end right before I add the liquid. Make sure we get all of our onions coated in the fat so that they cook quickly and evenly. And I'm going to let those go for about 2 minutes before I add anything else. But before I go away, I'm going to give them a little seasoning here. Maybe about 1/2 teaspoon or so of kosher salt. Give them a little pepper. But you can always season better later if you need to. I'm also going to toss in the dried herbs. There's our bay leaf and our Italian seasoning. It looks like a lot, because it is. This is a big old soup we're making here. There we go. Now we're going to let that cook for 3 to 5 minutes. I think you can see that the onions are now pretty much translucent, and it's time to add the next ingredients, which in this case are the carrots and celery. We're going to dump these guys in there and give it a good stir. And we're going to let these sweat for another 3 to 5 minutes. I'm thinking more like 3 minutes. I'm not necessarily going to set the timer, but I'm going to keep an eye on it. We're not trying to cook them thoroughly. We just want to start sweating them, get their juices to come out. That's why they're there in the first place. And after that, we'll move on to the next step. Okay, it's been 3 minutes, and now it's time to start adding the garlic, first of all. And man, is this starting to smell really great in here. And actually, once the heat hits this garlic, it's going to smell even better. Give that a stir. And these aren't the only ingredients we're going to add here. I'm actually going to kind of clean out the fridge. I've got a couple of bags here of vegetable soup mix that's frozen from my local grocery store. Just dump that right on in there. In fact, how about 2 of them? There we go. I've got some butternut squash that has been in my refrigerator for God only knows how long. I think about, 11 months or something. Time to use it up. And finally, I've got a bag of chopped spinach here. Just toss that on in there. And you know, here's the thing. When you're making soup like this, once you've got it started off the way we've done, you can really add any ingredients you like. It's going to be a delicious, lovely soup. Get all of that in there. Sorry, that was a little noisy. I'm also going to add in a jar of my own home canned tomatoes. You could just use a regular old can of tomatoes. Just dump it on in there. And then I'm going to add our vegetable and chicken stocks. And actually, I'm only combining them because this is what I have in my cupboard. And I want to use a gallon. So I had 3 quarts of chicken stock and a quart of veg stock. Oh, I don't know. Will we need that? Will we need them all? Well, decide that by how it looks. Oh, that number 3 there. Maybe that's going to be good enough. No, we're going to need a little bit more because you know what? We're still not done with our ingredients. We got to add the chicken yet. But I'm going to wait until we can bring these vegetables here together in this broth up to a boil and turn them down to a simmer. Then we're going to poach the chicken in it gently. I'm going to give it a little check here and a stir. Now I know there's some of you keto dieters out there who are thinking, okay, carrots aren't keto, and I'm seeing other things in there that aren't keto, like you'll see the odd kernel of corn. There's some diced potato in there. Oh goodness! But you know what? Here's the thing. You know, the keto diet, it's a low carb diet, not a no carb diet. And you know, one of the reasons that we're not allowed to have corn and carrots and potatoes on this diet is when we have them, we eat a whole bunch of them. They do have some sugar in them. Here you have a really limited quantity for a lot of servings. And you know, I'm not going to be the keto Nazi about it. And I'm going to have some of this delicious soup. This is also really easy to make, as you saw. I grabbed some stuff that was frozen in my freezer and I just tossed it in. And we're going to wait until it comes to a boil. And that's all there is to it. Very, very easy, as you can see. Why would you buy soup that was already made? You want to, every 5 or 10 minutes, you want to come out and give it a stir. Helps to circulate the heat in there so it'll boil more rapidly. See, got some nice steam going on there. There we go. Put the lid back on and leave it for about 5 minutes or so. Here you can see it's finally come to a rolling boil. You can see it's boiling pretty heartily there. Very nice. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this down and let it cook for 10 minutes while it simmers. And you're probably wondering, when are we going to add the chicken? It's going to be after that. We want to poach the chicken after we've got our vegetables most of the way cooked through, right? Anyway, so this will take about 10 minutes. We're going to put the lid back on, and we'll be back after that. Give it a stir at least once during the cooking here as well. And you know what? You can take that lid off if you think it's simmering a little too fast, like mine is here. We just want it to simmer very calmly. Okay, now it's been about 10 minutes, and we want to see if we're ready to add our chicken. And for that, I want to see if the vegetables are tender. Here's a piece of that butternut squash that was in there. Let me give that a little bit of a taste. Okay. Try one of our diced carrots. Yeah, we're ready to add that chicken. I'm going to turn the heat up just for a little bit. We want to get that to boil a little harder. because when we add the chicken, it's going to drop the temperature of the whole pot here. Again, it's 2 pounds, just over 2 pounds of chicken. I'm gonna go ahead and put that in there. I'm gonna give it a stir. And I'm going to bring this back up to a boil, turn it down to a simmer, and I'm going to let it go for 10 minutes. It's now been 10 minutes, and to see if we're ready to serve, we're going to fish out a piece of chicken there, give it a taste to see if it's nice and tender and done. Oh yeah, this is ready to serve. Now there's a gorgeous hearty bowl of chicken vegetable soup. I'm going to garnish this with a tablespoon of my own homemade pesto. Just going to set that there in the middle, but I'm going to stir it in when I eat, as well as a little Parmigiano Reggiano. Why not? Treat yourself, right? Anyway, there we go. I think it's time for a taste. All right, let's check it out. I'm going to give this a little bit of a stir here. We'll distribute some of that pesto. Let's give it a try. Just beautiful. Cooking the chicken for just a brief period of time at the end, not at too high a temperature, means that it turns out juicy and tender, and it's going to be that way for all of the soup that we have here. I'm just letting that cool off on the stove over here. Wow, this is really a delicious soup. I hope you'll make it, and that you'll let me know how it goes. Anyway, don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share, and all that good stuff. We'll catch you next time on Tim Talks Cooking.